All right. So we're going to run through this event. Welcome to our maintaining tight-knit teams in the age of social distancing. We hope that everybody is well, healthy, and safe doing your part in social distancing. We'd like to welcome you. My name is Rory. I work at Wheelhouse IT. And then on the line with us, we have David Branscombe with Microsoft. He's going to lead us in this webinar and teaching us how Microsoft has built teams in terms of embracing this culture before this culture was even a thing. So, David, I'm going to throw it over to you, and if anybody has any questions, answers, the Q&A section should just be to the right of your screen. Feel free to pop in any questions, and then David and myself will answer them accordingly. So, David, take it away.
All right, thanks. So, as Rory mentioned, the title is Maintaining Tight-Knit Teams in the Age of Social Distancing. So we're all kind of in this weird situation where we have to figure out how to interact with the people on our team through video conferencing. I was just on a video conference this morning, and someone was saying that that it's actually exhausting being on video conferencing because it's a different way of interacting with people. You're usually used to looking at people in the eyes, and now you're looking at a camera, and there's just all these things that are different that can make it challenging. So we're going to talk about some of the things you can do to kind of ease that problem and keep your teams functioning and collaborating well together. So this is me. I'm Dave Branscombe. I'm based in North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh. So we haven't been too badly hit by the virus, and I hope that's true of everybody that's listening as well. So there's kind of three areas that we're going to talk about, and they each some focus on technology and some focus on making sure that you're interacting with your peers in a good way, and some are just kind of practical topics. So setting up your workspace, staying connected to each other, and managing your time and well-being. And there's some tips in there for managers too, if you happen to manage people. So let's talk about setting up your physical and virtual workspace. So as most of us have figured out, it's important to find a place where you can work that is relatively quiet, distraction-free, where you maybe get enough light from outside, have good ventilation, make sure that you're getting fresh air so that you don't get sleepy if the air is stale and the room is dark. It's kind of easy to lose track of the day. But there's also an importance to staying organized while we're in this situation, making sure that you have a place for the materials that you work with, so that you feel like you would be at your office, where you have a place for everything and are able to locate the materials that you need to get your job done. So the middle topic about minimizing distraction and disruption, this is one that we're all just we're just kind of rolling with it, right? I mean, everybody has had a kid barge into their room, or a dog barking, or a doorbell ring, or whatever. And I think for the most part, everybody that I've worked with has been pretty good with it. It's just like that's just the way it's working right now, and that's good. We have to keep that in mind, that none of us expected to be in this position, and there's things that we weren't planning for, things that we didn't anticipate, and everybody just kind of has to roll with it. The second part is setting up your virtual workspace. So there's a physical location where you're located, but there's also virtually how you make sure that you're providing yourself with the best opportunity to do your job. So, for example, obviously use your best connection, your best network connection. Over and over again, we've been told, the wired connection is the one that's preferred, but that's not always the most convenient, right? So my Wi-Fi router is downstairs on the other side of the house, and I'm upstairs. So what do I, I'm not going to string a cord 75 feet up to my room. Rather, I put a Wi-Fi repeater upstairs, and so I get a strong enough signal. There's times during the day when it's not strong enough. So most everybody on my block is working from home, and so the internet kind of starts to drag later in the day. And so there's times where, for example, I'll have to take off my video, or I'll have to dial into a meeting instead of going over my Wi-Fi just to get good audio quality. So factor in those kind of things when you're thinking about doing your meetings. If bandwidth starts to become a constraint, have people come off video if they're able to. Making sure that you bypass VPNs for your audio video conferencing is super important. So regardless of what service you're using for your video conferencing, whether it's Zoom or Teams or WebEx or whatever, none of them play well with VPNs because you're going through the process of encrypting, decrypting traffic over and over again. And that latency creates problems with the way the video and the audio is rendered. So if you are the IT person at your shop, or you're supporting IT people, make sure that you're using what we call a split tunnel VPN, where traffic that's destined for your corporate network goes through the VPN, and traffic that's destined for Office 365, for example, goes out over the internet and bypasses that VPN. So just helps to improve the performance. Use mobile when you need to. So as I mentioned, there's times when I use my phone. I got my phone right here, and there's times where I'll flip over to it and transfer my audio over to the phone if my audio through the Teams client I'm using on my laptop isn't getting good enough quality. So be ready to use that and take advantage of your data plan where necessary. Video has become a really important feature of getting work done right now. So one of the things that we've committed to on our team, and our team has been remote for 4 or 5 years. We work all over the country, and one of the things that we've done is committed to always being on video if at all possible. And the reason is because it helps to engage with people a little bit better if you can see them and kind of see their eyes, see their facial expressions, things like that. You're able to better read people if you can see them. It also helps you to remain a little better focused. So if I'm committing to being on camera, it's less likely that I'm going to be distracted by doing something else and working on some other project while there's a meeting going on. So it kind of helps everybody to stay focused. There is the need to check your surroundings. So in Teams, you have the ability to do background blur, and recently we rolled out a whole bunch of new background features or background options for people. So you could have different colorful options. Right now, I don't have an interesting background. It's just my actual office, but you can certainly use those as a way of kind of having fun and taking away from concerns about people looking at your kitchen or looking at your whatever, you got clothes on your treadmill or whatever it is, right? So then there's the camera framing aspect of things on the right hand side of this slide. So that becomes important when you're doing a lot of video conferencing, is making sure that your face is positioned correctly in the frame of the camera, so that people aren't looking at this little head that's just kind of floating on the bottom of the video screen, or where they cut off part of your forehead and the top of your head. So just make sure that the camera is positioned in such a way that the video is good for everybody that's participating. Just makes it nicer for everybody to watch. All right, so that's kind of the physical and virtual workspace preparation. The next one is, how do we stay connected to each other? And this has become really one of the biggest challenges. So one of the things that we're noticing is that over communicating is what you have to do. That means with your boss, with your teammates, even with your customers, or the partners that you work with. Make sure that you're communicating often. Excuse me. If you feel like you're over communicating, you're probably just about right. So all the little interactions that you used to have with your boss or with your colleagues when you were at the office, and you'd be passing each other in the hallway, or someone would stop by your desk and ask how things are going, ask how the kids are doing, ask how the soccer game went, ask how, whatever. All those little things are kind of taken out of the picture. So we have to have a way to interact with our with our colleagues in a meaningful way. One thing that we've done is, within teams, we've created channels on our team that are strictly for having fun. So making recommendations about a movie that you saw, making recommendations about books to read, memes that you've seen. I posted one today to the channel about the relative importance of things in 2020. So, for example, toilet paper saw a steep increase, and coffee was way up at the top, and cars kind of dipped down. So, I mean, things like that kind of help to lighten the work relationship, and help everybody to maintain a good attitude towards work, even though it is kind of a different situation. This virtual water cooler. So where we used to have these hallway conversations with our colleagues, or stopping by somebody's desk, or whatever it might be, kind of have to replace those. So something that we've done a couple times since this all took place is have like a pizza party on Friday, or do something where after 5 o'clock on a Friday, everybody just gets together and you just talk about the week, and whatever it is, just a way to reconnect with people and talk to them, rather than just the formal email, or transfer of documents over IM or whatever it is. Remember that everybody's in this together, and there are some times where our colleagues may need help, and they may need encouragement, and they're not necessarily going to ask for that through email. So you have to create these informal situations where people feel free to talk as humans, rather than simply as coworkers. Collaborate. So with Teams, obviously, one of the things that Teams does really well is provides you with the ability as a team, whether you're scattered across the country, across the world, to collaborate in real time. So besides the video conferencing aspect, you have the ability, for example, to open up a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation inside Teams, and have multiple people collaborating on that document at the same time. We're doing this extensively on my team. We've got spreadsheets that everybody's using to track who they're working with, and progress that's being made. And I can go into any of these spreadsheets at any given time, and there can be 3 or 4 other people editing that same document. And that just helps eliminate some of the clutter that you might end up with in mailboxes, right? So that you're just working off of a single copy of a document, rather than multiple versions, and trying to reconcile those versions. That can be challenging. Switching to digital events, you may have heard on the news that Microsoft has switched completely to digital events for some of the major conferences that we do, where tens of thousands of people come to these conferences. They're all digital now through, I think they said June of 2021. So, certainly if you have events coming up, don't be afraid to switch them to digital, and a company like Wheelhouse can help you understand how you can do that, how you can switch over to a digital event rather than committing to an on-site location. It talks about using virtual huddles, which is just a meeting, right? It's just another meeting where you can sit and talk about a project that you're working on, a customer that you're dealing with, whatever it is. But again, replacing those emails with a direct face-to-face conversation can really help iron out issues very quickly versus trying to sort out what people mean via email. Inclusive online meetings. So I mentioned this earlier, the idea of being on video so that you are present and respectful. There's nothing more frustrating when you're at an in-person meeting than having an entire room full of people all typing on their keyboards while you're talking to them. They may all be taking copious notes about what you're talking about, but it doesn't look that way. It looks like they're doing something else. And so we have to be very aware of that same situation when we have meetings in a virtual space. So try to be present, try to be respectful of people that are speaking, try to be engaged, do your work at a different time. Unless there's something that's just absolutely urgent that needs to be addressed, pay attention and recognize that the meeting time is for the participants in the meeting. One point that has been kind of hard to get used to is the idea of pausing for others to speak. The reason this becomes important is that if you are at a table with 5 or 6 people and you ask a question, you can very quickly look around the room and see if someone is making kind of a face, like, I'm not sure, or no, I disagree with that. You can kind of read the room pretty quickly. It's not always possible with a virtual conference. And so for someone to ask a question and then somebody who may have a comment about that question, to have them come off mute and express themselves may take a few seconds. It may take 3, 4, 5 seconds for them to do that. But if you only give people 2 seconds to comment, then you miss that interaction. So pause for what may feel like a long time, but give people the opportunity to ask their questions. And monitor the meeting chat. So sometimes it's hard to do if you've got your desktop. If you're sharing your entire desktop, it can be hard to monitor the meeting chat. But like Rory's doing right now, he's monitoring the chat for me, so that if there are questions that pop up that need to be addressed right now, he can interrupt and ask those questions for me. The very bottom point is one that is super important. Record your meetings. So for whatever reason, people are going to miss meetings right now. It may be because they have to go to the grocery store, maybe because it's their turn to help their kid with school. Whatever the reason, people are going to miss meetings. And recording those meetings becomes just that much more important, so that they can catch up on what's been happening in their group, so that they're staying on top of their responsibilities and so forth. So record your meetings and make that meeting available to everybody as soon as possible, so that they can quickly catch up on what's going on. Make sure you think about accessibility. So in Teams, the ability exists to turn on live captions so that the words that I'm saying are represented, textually at the bottom of your Teams client. Make sure that the content is accessible, and make sure that Windows itself is easier to see. So by that, what I mean is there are many circumstances where someone will be presenting something on a meeting in a web browser, and the stuff that you see in the web browser looks about the size of a sugar ant, and you just can't read it. So be conscious of that. If you're a presenter, go in and increase the magnification of your browser just a little bit, because it does present differently on a meeting. Increase it to 125%, maybe even 150%, depending on what you're showing in the browser. And then when you go back to your regular work, you can put it back down to whatever you need. But make sure that people are able to see what you're showing, or they'll lose track of the whole conversation. All right, now here's kind of the taking care of yourself side of things. Right, so be willing to set expectations as far as your availability. We may have kids, we may have a dog that needs to be walked, we may have whatever, and these are things that have to be done, that have to be taken care of. So don't be afraid to set your availability in Teams to say, I'm away for right now, I'm busy right now, whatever it is. Like I said, we're all in a position that's kind of awkward and weird, and the expectations have to be kind of tempered as far as when we expect people to be available. So one thing that we've done on our team is created what we call a golden hour. And that golden hour represents a time during each day when everybody, whether you're on the West Coast or East Coast, everybody has decided we can be available during this time if there are meetings that require the entire team to be available. So whatever time that is, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if you need to book a meeting with the entire team, that's when everybody will commit to being available. But the rest of the time, there's some flexibility, right? Maybe you have to go to the grocery store or whatever, like we were talking about. Limit the amount of notifications that you're getting in Teams to the ones that are directly related to you. It's a suggestion. You can get a lot of notifications in Teams, and that can start to stress you out. So limit it down maybe to just the times when people mention you explicitly, or just to channels that you care about particularly. Don't forget to take breaks. One of the things that's easy to figure out when you start working from home is that you can actually forget to eat. You can forget to eat lunch. You start working through and you realize, oh my goodness, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't eaten anything today. So block out time on your calendar, set an alarm on your phone, whatever it takes, so that you make sure that you take breaks for your own health, for your own mental well-being. You have to make sure that you're disconnecting from work and just walk outside in the yard, or just go do something to get a break from work for a little bit of time during the day. And then check in with other people. Make sure that everybody's doing well. We've made it a conscious effort to, whenever we have a phone call with anybody really, on our team or partners or customers, whatever it is, before you start in with the business side of things, ask them how they're doing, ask if their health is good, ask us if the family's doing well, because it's a very unique time that we're in, and you have to make sure that before you start asking people and demanding things of people, where are they in their life, right? Are they dealing with someone who's sick, or someone in their family that may be far away is sick, and they're overwhelmed by worry for that person? Don't add to that by burdening them with a whole lot of extra work, and that's why it's important to understand where they are. And then lastly, the role of the manager. As a manager, again, this is kind of a unique situation for you. So where you may have concerns about the financial stability of your business, the health of you and your family, there's a lot, everybody's dealing with kind of the same sorts of worries, but you as a manager lead by example. So you need to set the right tone, set a positive tone, be transparent about things that may be taking place. Because where there is not clarity for people, they will invent their own reality. And in many cases, the reality that they invent may be negative, and that's not going to be good for your business. Support people in new ways. Make sure that everybody understands. It's my timer just to make sure that I'm staying on track. Make sure that people understand what's expected of them. Set goals clearly, and again, over communicate with people. Have regular one-on-ones with the people on your team. Don't let people go a week without interacting with them. Check in with them on a regular basis. So a last thing that I'm going to show you here, Rory and the folks at Wheelhouse have this slide deck, and they can share these with you. There's some really good tips, especially the one up at the top, love in a time of coronavirus. Some tips and tricks and best practices for working remotely. Some really thoughtful ideas on how to approach technology, how to approach how you set up video conferencing and things like that. Some really good ideas on what you can do to make collaboration with teams possible in this kind of a weird world that we're living in. So that's all I had. Rory, are there any questions that I can address?
There were no questions that came in, so David, I do want to thank you for your time. If anybody does have questions, we're still here, so if you want to shoot them over into the chat panel on the right, we're happy to help you out. In the meantime, I'm also going to throw into the announcement that we're going to post this webinar on the link that's provided in there, wheelhouseit.com/resources. You can also see the various other webinars that we've done between Microsoft with David and some other folks. I do appreciate you guys for joining us. At this point, there still are no other additional questions, so I think we're good. David, I do thank you for your time, and I do thank everybody for attending. So with that, we'll give everybody back their day, about 2 minutes. So we do thank you, and I appreciate you guys being here. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks.